I'll be going then. Waving the long list limply at the teacher, I exit to the hallway. The classrooms closest to ours are designated belonging to classes 3-1 and 3-2 on the right side, and 3-4 on the left side, each door looking exactly the same. Further down the corridor, still with identical doors, are rooms that I didn't think were used for classes. I guess the art room is not a classroom as such. I carefully push open the furthest door and peek in. It's a classroom, but it seems rather badly kept or not in use. Am I in the right place? This definitely does look like an art room, though. That sort of like these like desks like this, and the drawers for like pencils or whatever. Desks and chairs are all around the room. A thin layer of dust settled on them. There are some easels in the corners, so at least this looks like the right place. The room is flushed in sunlight from the big windows, shadows creeping all over the desks. Specks of dust are dancing in the stagnant air, making the beams of light almost visible. Jokingly, I call into the empty room, "Man, you are so, like for some reason, like, every time he describes the room, he gets, like, this very poetic moment where he's like, I must describe the room in the most edgy way possible, because art." Literally art. Joking, I call into the empty room. "Anybody home?" Something catches my eye and I stop mid-sentence. "Oh, hi." Sitting on the desk is a short-haired girl, curiously wearing a boy's uniform, with a fork between her toes, a morsel of food stuck firmly on the end. This odd way of dining seems to be caused by her apparent lack of hands, but her presence here is what takes me back even more. How did I miss her before? She's sitting in the corner very still, but I somehow took her as part of the furnishing or a statue at first glance. I'm not being too observant today as a whole. The girl seems to be frozen in place, staring at me with her huge eyes like a rabbit in headlights. She's staring at me, her mouth wide open and ready to accept the fork. Oh god, that line is not ready to accept the fork. I'm staring at her, my mouth wide open, suddenly remembering I didn't finish my sentence and trying to think if I should. This weird stalemate keeps us both stunned into silence, punctuated only by the wall clock ticking rhythmically. Hello. The girl stuffs the fork full in her mouth and is now staring at me expectantly while chewing. This is a bit awkward. Hello? I was told to pick up some supplies from here. For some festival stalls, I think? I didn't think there would be someone here. There isn't. That's why I came here too. She picks up another forkful. Doesn't that mean you're here then? She raises her eyebrows as if she was suspecting my observation was false. You're pretty observant. I guess it does. But who are you? This girl is pretty straightforward, isn't she? I'm Nakai. He's Nakai. I just transferred in on Monday. I'm Rin. Tezuka Rin. Rin Tezuka. I won't shake hands with you, but at least we know who we are now. That's very nice. Her deadpan manner of talking makes it hard to determine whether she's joking about shaking hands or not. It kind of bothers me joking about these matters. Joking about these matters doesn't feel appropriate at all. While I'm trying to figure out what's appropriate and whether this girl is, she seems to have lost interest in me and is now gazing yearningly back at her food. Can I continue my lunch? If you don't mind me, I won't mind you. If you need to get your stuff, the supplies are at the back. Go right ahead, but lunch? School's already over for the day. What word would you use then? There's no word for a meal you eat after lunch but before dinner, right? It bothers me very much too, but I don't really know what I should say. I don't think that you were supposed to eat a meal between lunch and dinner to begin with. But I'm hungry now and my delicious boxed lunch would go to waste otherwise. I have curry. It's very delicious. With much decisiveness, Rin once again picks up the fork between her toes, and with at least as much impoliteness, she points it straight at me. So, Nakai, what brings you to this place? Like I said, I was told to look for these things. No, the school. From outside you look fine. Is your problem inside? I come to a full stop, opening my mouth, but not getting a word out. She just goes straight for that, doesn't she? I can guess. I'm good at guessing. Better than most people. Rin cuts me off before I can answer a question or skirt around it somehow. I don't know which I would have done. I froze in front of this issue again. I haven't even told anyone here about my condition, or maybe it's only because it hasn't really come up. I do get the feeling that not making issues of this is part of the social code here, as the teacher said. I wonder if the people here could relate? Probably not any better than any normal person could. I can't relate to Shizune's circumstances, or Lily's either. Naturally, while I go through this in my head, Rin keeps considering what my condition could be, with an overtly contemplative look on her face. She puts her fork between her lips and leans back, looking at the ceiling as if the answer was written up there. A beam of light illuminates her face from the window side, creating a mask of dark shadow on the other side. I don't think it's anything in your head, and something in your guts would be boringly ordinary, like this lunch of mine, and less delicious. The problem must be in your pants. Oh my god. This messed up Sherlock Holmes kind of statement and the sheer lack of tact it was delivered with catches me completely off guard. I think I might have reeled back even physically as Rin's eyes widened in revelation and astonishment. So I was right. There's something wrong with your tackle, isn't there? Your tackle. Still partially in shock, but recognizing the need to reply something, I spit out the first thing that I can think of. No, nothing like that. I have a heart problem, arrhythmia. I said it. More like blurted it out, but I said it. The girl in front of me purses her lips together and glowers at me, looking very disappointed. How boring. Trouble in the pants would have been much more scandalous. What's with this reaction? I'm sorry to let you down? I forgive you. Just I click people and a person with, that kind of problem would have been really great. Like marking off as a little bingo board. The disability bingo board. Ah, yes, bingo. Oh, I got 4 corners. That would have been... I would like to see Rin's disability bingo board. People with different problems. So you just, go around asking people what's wrong with them? Pretty much. I see. Very much, I do like Rin. With little left to say, Rin resumes her lunch and the conversation dies away, but I keep thinking about what was said. It's the first time I told anyone else about my condition. All the other people have either known about it already or heard about it from someone else. Or didn't need to know about it like every other student here so far. Should I have told it as a natural part of introductions? Is it expected of me? Hi, I'm Isao. I have a very serious heart condition. Yeah, no, is that how I'm supposed to go around introducing myself from now on? I wouldn't. That seems very weird. As if our disabilities would define us. What a disgusting thought. Exactly. It's that's not... It would be like if I was going around being like, hi, I'm Minato. I'm gay. Whatever like that, part of my identity. Or I'm white. I mean, you can see that, but as if our disabilities would define us. What a disgusting thought. Or maybe this Tezuka girl just has an unnatural interest in such things. As I walk to the back of the room to pick up the items on Misha's list, a chance opens to study Rin from the corner of my eye. Her hair is a burnt auburn, almost orange, and cropped short. Long hair would probably be impossible with no arms. The boy's uniform and the lack of arms make her look very thin, almost scrawny. She's not particularly pretty except for her murky green eyes which flicker restlessly from below her short bangs, even when she eats. But damn, you're not pretty. The distance and the shadows make it seem like they don't reflect sunlight at all, but instead absorb all of it within them like deep wells. She moves her feet almost as deftly as a normal person would use their arms. However, I can see how this sight could discomfort people, especially while eating. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable at least. I hesitate to think about the word unnatural, but it's too late now, isn't it? I mean, it's what she's gotta do. You adapt to the situation. I keep searching the cabins and shelves for Misha's things, but after enough time passes, the silence grows too uncomfortable, so I try to force some conversation out of this strange girl. So, do you always eat alone in this plate, or do you get the occasional visitor? Visitors... maybe you're my first occasional visitor, but I don't always eat alone either. Sometimes I eat with a certain person on the roof if she's not horsing around. Horsing? She likes to do sports. Oh. And that's all I can think of to say. I wonder if that's the girl we met before. It's the same one. But both of us fall silent again as Rin forks the last bits of her meal to her mouth. I look down at my haul and double check it with Misha's list. It seems I have everything except plywood. So I think I have all the things now. That's very nice for you. Don't feel obliged to stay. I was about to take a nap anyway. You need to do whatever you're going to do with that stuff anyway, right? Or perhaps you like to watch girls sleeping? I'm not sure what to make of this, but Rin looks serious. Even if I did, I think I have to be going. I'll catch you around, Tezuka. You can call me Rin. I feel that our relationship is at this point good enough to warrant this much. I was already turning to make my exit, but she draws me back in. Fine, then I'm Hisao. Then you are. Rin looks at me hard in the eyes, but that intimidating feeling you get when someone stares at you isn't there. It's like she's actually not looking at me at all. She blinks a couple of times, and I can't figure out why a pause like this just popped between us out of nowhere. See you later, Hisao. There's something like a tiny smile there in her face, maybe. I quietly back out of the room. As I shut the door in front of my face, I whisper to myself, what an intriguing person. From inside, I hear a muffled sing-song voice. I heard that. What did she hear? I jump with the sudden appearance of Misha, who I had not heard approaching despite the completely empty hallway. Somehow she had gone to jumping distance of me without making a sound. Creepy. It briefly reminds me of Kenji's nutty theory about a global feminist conspiracy, but I pushed that thought aside. And Shizune, standing slightly behind Misha, looks aloof, as if she couldn't have heard the remark that drew Misha's attention. But Misha is visibly excited. No wait, more importantly, who is there? There's no club meetings today. He tries to curiously peek past me, even though the door prevents her from seeing anyway. What are you doing here? You took so long that we had to come check what's wrong. That's no good, Hee-chan. She wags her finger at me scoldingly. I found plywood, but everything else is still missing because you are tardy. Oh, sorry. I got the things here. I was just going to bring them. I think you're up to some mischief, Hee-chan. Who is in there with you, I wonder? You should have signed something quickly to Shizune, pointing at her own ear a couple of times. Shizune immediately pushes her way past me and opens the door into the classroom I just left. I can only imagine the shock she's experiencing. With Shizune's diligence and attitude, the insolence of daring to deface school property by sleeping on top of it must be too much to bear. And indeed, she stares at Rin, frozen in place apart from a slight but noticeable trembling of her shoulders, from suppressed rage, I'm sure. Instead of blowing up, Shizune just takes a few deep breaths, adjusts her glasses, and slams the door shut, turning to sign furiously at Misha. Oh, wow. Maybe she did blow up, but I can't understand it. She shoots a very loaded stare at me, too, as if it was somehow my fault that Rin is sleeping on one of the tables. I hope she's not getting any funny ideas about the reason of my tardiness. Hello. Rin's voice comes from the side of the door, and it takes a few eye blinks to realize that she might have trouble opening it. I open the door to find Rin directly behind it, looking at us with a half-interested, half-sleepy face. Hello. Miss Tezuka, what do you think you're doing? You're absolutely not going to use school property for such, disgraceful activity. It sure is suddenly very crowded in here. I didn't know it was this popular. It's hard to say whether she's happy or unhappy about this turn of events. At any rate, she ignores Shizune's flash Misha's scolding, so they have no choice but to drop the issue. Shizune taps Misha's shoulder, points at Rin, and makes some quick signs. Popularity aside, please don't do that anymore. Anyway, how is your project going? Will it be done for the festival? Rin looks at them blankly, apparently at ease under the pressure Shizune's cold stare is putting on her. I keep wondering about that myself, too. And? We'll think about it harder. I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe. We'll see. As Misha signs a reply to Shizune, her face turns into an unsatisfied frown. Miss Tezuka, please try to take this seriously. It'll be a disaster if the wall looks like someone threw up their lunch onto it. Rin nods assertively. We'll think more seriously. Misha actually giggles at that, but Shizune doesn't, not even after translation. She just shakes her head, takes the materials from me, and takes off with Misha in tow. Rin frowned thoughtfully as she looks after the retreating student council duo. How rude. It's true though, I must finish my project before the weekend. There'll be dire consequences if I don't. The end of the world as we know it. Like weekends usually are, but more dire. Much more dire. Maybe I'll postpone my nap to unforeseen future. I'm about to ask what progress she has and what are these apocalyptic consequences, but she walks back into the art classroom. Since you have nothing to do, would you give me a hand? This paint can doesn't fit into my bag, but I need it. She kicks lightly at a huge can of paint that's lying on the floor next to the table she was sitting and sleeping on. It lets out a dull clang. Being the gentleman I am, I naturally pick it up. I'm so chivalrous. Heavy. Yeah, sure. Where do you need me to take it? Away. And with that, she takes off to the hallway, me and the paint can following, since there's little choice for either of us. The hallway is quiet and empty now, with Shizune and Misha gone, so we too leave toward the stairwell at the other end. Every 10 or 15 or 20 steps, I have to change the can from one hand to another because the thin handle cuts into my palm. Oh yeah, I've had that before. Where it's just like that little candle just cuts right in, and it's just god awful. At least it keeps my arms from tiring too fast. Rin strolls on beside me with an uneven pace that I have trouble matching, or maybe I'm walking weird because of the extra weight. It seems one of us is constantly walking too slow or too fast, and I can't figure out which. 2 flights of stairs below, trouble appears in the form of the head nurse and his fox-like grin. Aha, Mr. Nakai, what a happy coincidence. Tezuka too, of course. He nods courteously to Rin, who does not acknowledge him back, then turns to me because obviously it's me who he has some business with. There was something I forgot to mention on Monday. I nod and wait impassively because I can't even begin to guess what he forgot. The feeling of the handle delving deeper into my skin doesn't make me feel enthusiastic about this interruption either. It's about your medications. Since you haven't been that long into crew medications, there might be so many unexpected side effects, which might require adjusting dosages or even changing to another kind of medication. So we will do a few tests regularly, but what I'd want is for you to keep an eye on everything in your condition that feels off, if you get what I mean. Nausea, headache, anything. And come see me if something happens. Alright. So, how are you? Everything fine? Oh, that wink. You're looking at me, boy. I might need some special treatment if you know what I mean. I give up and drop the can to the floor before answering him. Apparently this takes longer than my biceps can handle. I'm about to say something generic as an answer, but then I realize how often I've done that lately. Other people have asked me that too, teachers and students here. My parents, visitors, nurses, doctors at the hospital. Everyone seems to be concerned about that. It's natural for a hospital, not so much at a school. Except this school. This is a small school, and both the student base and the faculty seem to be very tightly knit. At least that's the feeling I'm getting. And this is not the kind of school that gets transfer students too often. The thought sends shivers up my spine, but I give a generic answer anyway. That's great. There's also one other thing. My sources tell me that you've been at neither the school track nor even the pool, so I'd like to know if you've taken up exercising as I asked. Of course I haven't, but his way of inquiring gives me the feeling that I should have been running my ass off on the track since the very first day. It's been like 2 days, so... You have people spying on me? Not as such, I just happen to know a few people. But that's not the issue here, so don't try to slip out of it. Well, I was actually just doing some improvised weightlifting as an exercise. I pick up and lift the can up and down a few times like some sad imitation of a bodybuilder, even though it's weighing down on my arms painfully. The stupid grin disappears from his face for a second, then comes back like it was never gone. Tezuka, would you give us a second? Ooh, hello, nurse. The nurse grabs me by the shoulder without waiting for Rin's permission, which he didn't need in the first place, and drags me aside. You don't need permission. When I told you to exercise, I wasn't well, why don't you help me, sir? I could use the help. I understand that you're still in your first week and all, but please don't ignore the importance of this. The reason I'm coming down this hard on you is that habits are not easy to form. The more you slip and postpone, the harder it'll be. It's the same with everything, like dieting. Can you promise me to be more serious about this from now on? Well, I can't disappoint Mr. Nurse. Yeah, I promise. Definitely. He studies me for a moment and then shrugs, smiling again. Okay, that's more like it. If we go to the school track tomorrow morning, you'll meet my spy, who probably has no qualms offering consultation to you if you want to jog, but I want your consultation. That was the point. the year round, so... He leaves with a wave of his hand and no answer, and I walk to Rin, who has been waiting, idly leaning against the hallway wall and staring at the pale lighting fixtures in the ceiling. Even when I approach, she doesn't move her eyes off them. Are you getting medications for your heart thingy? Were you listening? It comes out more accusatory than I intended. Were you listening? Were you goddamn listening, you goddamn person? It comes out more accusatory than I intended, accidentally lashing out at her. But even so, I don't really want to start talking about it. I just met her. I don't know her. It's not her business. The nurse seems to be happily ignorant about confidentiality, too, talking about that kind of thing in public. But it's not Rin's fault, is it? I look up at her, suddenly feeling a bit guilty, but Rin is just staring past my shoulder quizzically, her head tilted like a bird's. I don't know why this is so hard for me. It feels like there is some inexplicable lock that prevents me from being more upfront about this. Yeah, they're for my heart. Will they make you better? No, not really. They just make me a little less worse. Rin keeps looking at me for a while longer, and she neither says anything further nor displays any kind of emotion I could discern. I'm thankful that she doesn't. I think I'm still not quite used to all this. At the hospital it was easy, but I still haven't sorted my feelings about having to live a normal life with this disability. We leave the main building, and Rin leads us onwards towards the dorm. We stop at the small patch of greenery in front of the dorm building. The dorm is built on a slightly elevated ground, with a wall and a few trees that everyone has to circle around every time they come or go. It's probably the only inconvenient design in the school. Is there a ramp? The entire wall, made of the same kind of bricks as the building itself, has been covered with some sort of painting. Most of it is still mere sketches, quick lines drawn with black and white against the gray plastering that covers almost the entire length of the wall, but some places look a bit more finished. There are human faces and legs and hands. I can't quite say what the painting as a whole might portray. Stacks of what seem to be paint cans are arranged in piles on the ground, beside the wall. See, the left side is hardly off the ground yet. It's because I couldn't get in the mood yesterday, so I gave up and went to meditate instead. Then it was suddenly morning. I have to work on it, but the guys from art class are helping with the negative spaces and the base surface whenever, which is a problem. It's easier to paint big areas if there are a lot of people with hands. The reach is better, and it's faster too. She goes on a tangent of a tangent. That's me. waving a little with her arm, or whatever of it there actually is, to demonstrate even though I got the point already. The white cotton of her sleeve flaps around, and it makes me think it could look sadder than it does. But it makes me feel out of place, like almost every tangible reminder of the student base's special properties has in the past few days. This girl doesn't notice my dreary feelings, of course, or the fact that she lost me a while ago already, and just keeps on blabbering. So that's why I'm trying to figure out if there's something I need to figure out, and then figure that out before it's too late and all hope is lost. Why would the hope be lost? Because paint has to be painted, and then it has to dry, and then it has to be painted over with another kind of paint. It takes time. She finally stops, apparently thinking she made some kind of statement that makes sense. I think it's best to start from the top. So, this is your project? Project? You did this? Yes. All of it? Yes. Nice, but... I stumble over with my words, suddenly feeling like I've walked straight into the minefield of political incorrectness. It's okay. You can say it. I probably won't get mad. I blush really hard. I don't really know what would be the right thing to say, if any. It feels like that I'm way more sensitive than Rin is, though. I mean, yeah, she acts just straight out, so I don't think she'll be too offended if we This is really awkward. Don't you want to ask? How do you paint without hands? See, I'm an easy person to talk to, right? With my feet. I almost guessed that already, but isn't that hard to do? You're good at guessing. Anyway, I don't think it is, but maybe I'm used to it by now. I can't get my mind around the fact that she could be an artist, but seeing how adept she was using her feet to eat, I figure painting might not be a problem either. Still, man, that's... I feel like eating would be somewhat easier, because once you stab it, it's not too bad, but like painting, you need to be like very specific. Although she's doing a mural, so I guess that's not... Oh my god damn. Another time Windows, like, wanting me to have a stupid, update. Windows always screwing up any recording or streams for anyone anywhere. Neither of us has anything more to add to the subject. The afternoon light works pretty well. I was afraid it would look too flat, but it's not like that after all. I think it's actually pretty interesting. I want to see what it looks like in dim light. Do you think it's flat? Well, paintings tend to be flat. Not like that flat. You know, flat, like some people are. No substance, no meat where there should be some. I know a few girls who okay, I get it, but I can only tell I'm not that good with art. I can't name any artists or artistic terms, so I don't really have anything to say. Rin shrugs her shoulders at that, saying, "Suit yourself," without saying it, looks up at the sky as if trying to look for something up there. Now, I don't agree with Hisao at this point. I feel like you can, like, especially like the flat point, like, does it look, what does art make you feel? Everyone feels something with art, or at least most people do. Yeah, if you don't know, I don't know, I have a good friend that, like, is a really good artist, but I don't know all the terms. I can't be like, oh, you use that 3-point perspective here, wow. I'll just be like, I like how it looks. I think, oh, this is a really good part. But whatever, Hisao. I didn't think I'd get any actual work done, but if you give me a hand with the paints, I could do a little before it's too dark. I want to get a halogen lamp like the ones they have at the sports track, but there aren't any. Rin sure is quick to recruit my help, as was Shizune. It really makes me feel that the festival is such a big project that every pair of hands is needed. Why not? I'm not really sure if I can be of any help, though. It's just mixing some paints, you can do that. Probably. Do you have motor control problems? Like, you know, those people who have some? Cerebral palsy, maybe? Not that I know of. I get it. Hard thinking has something to do with that. She gives me a sly look for no reason. No, it doesn't. Let's do it then. Aw, I love all their happy faces. They're so cute. Of course, the S's are gonna fuck me up. So she sits on an empty wooden box and very naturally picks up a wide brush between the toes of her bare right foot. I open a few of the cans and pour some of the contents into shallow bowls for mixing. The thick paints flow lazily from the can to the bowl like syrup. I mix them, creating funny, hypnotic-looking swirl patterns that melt quickly into each other to form a new monotone hue. Well, that sounds fun now, like mixing paints together. I don't do that because I don't paint, but now I just I want to just mix colors together. Rin sets to work every now and then asking me for a hand with something or the other. Finding different brushes is easy enough, but mixing the paints to be the exact tone this girl is apparently seeing in her head is a frustrating ordeal. She wants precision down to the last milliliter before she's satisfied, but her instructions are obscure at best. Add half a splash of green. Crouch down to pick up a can of bright green, half a splash. The other green, this green. I carefully pour some of the other green paint in the mixing bowl. No, that's almost a whole splash, more white. Is green a good color to add? No idea, you're the artist here. A hint of a smile appears in the corners of her mouth. Do you lack an opinion? No, it's just that I have no idea. It's okay, because I just got an idea. Add more white. With this exclamation, I pour a minuscule amount of white into the bowl and mix it. It looks slightly whiter. That's not good. It has to be like the color when you wake up and you know that you saw the meaning of life in your dream but can't remember it. It's a very maybe it's yellow. Despite the impossibility of mixing a color, like the change of seasons or any other nonsense that's being imposed on me, I find myself enjoying it more than I thought I would. Yeah, that sounds fun. Just be like, what color do you think is the meaning of life? But it's definitely more subjective than anything. Seeing a painting being born on the plastered wall feels like magic. I spend the moments I have between mixing paints crouching down on the paving and just looking at her work. It feels slightly intrusive at first, like breaking some imaginary intimacy, but Rin doesn't seem to mind the least bit. Maybe it's just in my head. Her entire presence emits a completely different air as she patiently works the details, adding layers of paint on top of other layers of paint, steadily moving her foot across the wall to add new shapes. When I manage to produce a passable mixture of paint, the rare smile on their face is oddly rewarding. Apart from a few words when discussing paint mixes, neither of us has a word for the longest time. And even those short discussions soon evolve into a shorthand, both of us developing and using weird impromptu code words for various paints and hues. As if there was some need to conserve words than breath and sound. I don't understand that though. Like, it just, you kind of get a rapport when you have like a common set. I've done that before. We stay there late into the evening until it becomes too dark to paint properly. Katawa Shoujo. Alright. The next day? It is next day. Perfect. The sound of an alarm pulls me out of a fitful slumber into the unpleasant state of wakefulness. I'm just going to save. I'm not going to stop, but I'm going to save real quick. I'm actually going to take a quick water break, so I'll be right back, and then I will continue on.